رسول الله حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله. Allah our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Allah our God is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأولين والآخرين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Brothers and sisters, welcome to another live edition of your program Gardens of the Pious. By the grace of Allah, tonight's episode is number 189 in the blessed series of Gardens of the Pious. We'll continue explaining chapter number 46, and that is going to be the second episode on that chapter. The chapter which deals with the virtues of loving one another for the sake of Allah, the excellence and the etiquette of sincere love for the sake of Allah the Almighty. We tackled the ayat that Al-Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah listed in the beginning of this chapter, and now with the first hadith number 375. So it is the first in this chapter, and its order in the series from its beginning is 375. عن أنس رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: ثلاث من كن فيه وجد بهن حلاوة الإيمان: أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما، وأن يحب المرء لا يحبه إلا لله، وأن يكره أن يعود في الكفر بعد أن أنقذه الله منه كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. متفق عليه. Anas ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, there are three qualities. Whoever possesses them will find the sweetness of Iman, will taste the sweetness of faith. The first quality is to love Allah and His Messenger, peace be upon him, more than anything else. Not just anyone else, anything else. The second is to love a servant of Allah only for Allah's sake. The third is to abhor returning to disbelief after Allah has guided you into Islam, as much as you would hate to be thrown into the fire of hell. The hadith is highly sound and collected by both Al-Bukhari or Muslim and many other collectors of ahadith such as An-Nasa'i and Al-Imam Ahmad in his Musnad and Abu Nu'aym fil Hilya and many others. It's a very sound hadith, and Imam al-Nawawi, may Allah have mercy on him, says this hadith is one of the great principles of Islam. To the extent that Al-Imam al-Bukhari in his collection, the sound collection of Al-Imam al-Bukhari's ahadith, he listed this hadith in 4 different places. He listed the hadith 4 times, not just once. He listed him first in a chapter which is known as giving preference to persecution, humiliation and harassment over returning to disbelief, because of the last quality that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith. Then he listed the hadith, the same hadith again, in the book of Iman under the title of the sweetness of Iman. Then he also listed him in the book of Al-Adab under the title of Al-Hubbu Fillah. And he listed him in another place, also in the book of Iman, with regards to the quality of hating to return or abhorring to return to disbelief as much as hating to be thrown in the fire of hell. As I said, Imam Muslim listed the hadith in his collection as well, and many other narrators. So this hadith is of a great importance and it's highly significant. When the Prophet ﷺ speaks about the sweetness, is it something moral, spiritual, or something physical that you find? Well, what is your favorite food? What is your favorite drink? And what happens when you eat or you drink something that you like most? Some people love mango juice. So when you drink mango juice, what happens? Is it your tongue that enjoys the sweetness and that's it? Then what happens after you swallow it? Is it your stomach that enjoys the sweetness? And will it really make any difference whether it's sweet or salt or sour? Once it ends up in your stomach, then in the intestine, particularly the large one. What happens when you eat the most delicious food that you desire? Once it passes your esophagus, once you taste it and you chew on it and it ends up in your stomach, then it's digested and eventually the rest and the waste is excreted. What happens when you enjoy having an intimate relationship with your spouse? When one enjoys a sexual desire, when the sexual desire is fulfilled and the person achieves his or her climax, what happens? What happens is the person experiences some joy and delight. That joy and delight is presented in the form of satisfaction. The person is satisfied. The person is happy. The person is enjoying. Sometimes that joy or delight is temporary. Because how long longer will it last, the taste of the mango juice in your mouth? Or the most delicious food that you desire? Or after achieving the climax and executing the sexual discharge, and the person calms down after satisfying his or her sexual desire, what happens afterward? What remains is this satisfaction, is that joy and delight of thinking about the taste. But again, it is not permanent. And that joy and delight with regards to food, with regards to drink, with regards to sexual desire, because it is not something that if you do it once a month, that's it, you don't need to do anymore. Or when you obtain it once a year, you may look for it next year. No, it's something that you need to acquire it on a regular basis so that you remain satisfied. It's like fueling up your vehicle. So the food, the drink, and the sexual desire, all of that is to satisfy your moral senses, is to make you happy. But again, this is all temporary. What the Prophet ﷺ is referring to is achieving this satisfaction and making it permanent. Making it something that you live with. You are happy. You're enjoying your life. You're experiencing the light. Despite the fact that you're going through adversity. Despite the fact that maybe your son is in the ICU. Or your mother passed away. Or calamities that you're going through. This is what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on him, said once, that we are enjoying our life in such way that if the kings and their sons were to know how much joy and delight that we're having, they would challenge us, they would fight against us with their swords in order to extract the joy and delight so that they can take it and capture it. But that's something in the heart. And it is not necessarily about food or drink or sexual desire, which the vast majority of people believe that they will achieve happiness when they satisfy these desires, the desire of the stomach and the desire of the private part. No. The Prophet ﷺ is talking about the real delight. It's talking about the permanent happiness, despite the afflictions and the calamities that the person may go through. It's talking about enjoying your worship. So you do it not as a mechanical process, but you look forward to do it because you love it, because you enjoy it. It gives you that satisfaction, which perhaps if somebody were to eat the most delicious food that he desires, would not obtain the same satisfaction. And then, when the opposite happens, when you are confronted with a challenge, whether it's a musibah, a calamity, or a haram that persuades you to do it or to obtain it, you do not find any difficulty or hardship in overcoming this desire, because you have a level of joy and delight in avoiding that enables you to overcome any of these obstacles. Subhanallah. So it is inshirahun fi sadr, something you feel in your breast, in your heart, in your chest. It's hard to describe it. People look at some people who are constantly maybe reciting Quran on a regular basis, seeking knowledge or praying at night, and they ask, why are you happy? The happiness is a gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants to whomever He wills. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts some qualifications, and He says, if you want to gain happiness, if you want to find that sweetness, and what follows that sweetness, the physical sweetness, which is the moral satisfaction, and the spiritual comfort and peace of mind, is in achieving the three qualities, which will guarantee the perfection of one's faith. It's all about love and hate. The first one is to have Allah and His Messenger أحب إليه مما سواهما. In Arabic, if you say min, it's different than ma. So, man is to refer to somebody who is a human being, or an angel, or a jinn. But ma, it refers to animals, it refers to lifeless objects. And when we use ma, it covers both, everything. So that's why the literal translation of anyone else is not very accurate. Rather, it is anything else. Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they become dearer to you than anything else, because a person can love Allah and His Messenger more than his wife, or more than his children, but not more than his job. Because eventually he loves his job more than his own family. He spends work, he is willing to work 24/7. And he gives very little time for his family. This is how much he loves his work. But when it comes to comparing between loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger and your job, your business, your wealth, your position, your gain, whatever, no comparison. That separates and sorts out people, to categorize them into true believers and into people who happen to believe for a reason or another, but they do not really perceive the true belief in their hearts. Recently, there was a scandal. Some people were arrested for asking for bribery, and they got it. Homes, clothes, money, cars. And guess what? Amongst the bribery was the packages of Hajj and Umrah, so that the person and his family and over 10 Hajj. That is called disconnection. This is exactly the situation of many Muslims nowadays. They do the worship because they have to do it. They do it and they get nothing out of it. They benefit nothing out of it. And that was the weirdest thing I have ever heard of in my life as far as bribery. I understand that bribery, when it's in the form of cash, properties, real estate, or sex, that's possible. But bribery that you take me and my family to perform Hajj 5 stars, do you really believe in Allah? Do you really believe yourself? Do you really think that you're going to perform Hajj because it is one of the pillars of Islam? Do you know who's Allah? Do you? Do you love Him? Do you fear Him? I doubt. I doubt that you even know who is your God and what He wants from you. I told you, the Hadith sorts out Muslims into believers and maybe just Muslims. قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم. Surah Al-Hujurat. The Bedouins who entered Islam for a reason or another, we cannot fetch out their intentions, we cannot open their hearts to reveal their secrets. They accepted Islam for a worldly gain, for some support, for some charity, or because they truly believed. So when they said, we are believers, Allah said, no, don't you say that we are believers. Rather, just say, Aslamna. We submitted. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. And how would we know that whether Iman have entered their hearts or not? وَإِن تُطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ لَا يَلِتْكُم مِّنْ أَعْمَلِكُمْ شَيْئًا. The true Iman is presented in the form of obedience. That's why in Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِ يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. That is the meaning of to have Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam dearer to you than anything else. So when you're asked to do anything which is haram, you don't think about it. If you're a district attorney, if you're a judge, if you are a police officer, and your superior asks you to oppress an innocent person, you're worried about your job, you're worried about your career, you're worried about your social status. But who cares? I don't care. I'm only worried about Allah. I'm worried about my relationship with Allah. I don't care about my boss, my employer. I don't care about no one else. من ترك شيئا لله أبدله الله خيرا منه. I don't care even if I get fired. Because whoever gives upon anything for the sake of Allah, guaranteed that Allah will give him a better replacement. He gave you that to test you. And when you pass the test, He'll give you better than that. We can talk about this for hours. We can take the example of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his only son Ismail, and the story of the sacrifice. But for the sake of time, would like to move on. In Surah An-Nisa, Allah the Almighty says, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِي مَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. This is the true Iman. This is the perfection of faith. When we come to sort out Muslims, who is a true believer and who is just Muslim, we will be shocked. A true believer, once hears the call for Fajr prayer, would not even think twice about it. Doesn't find any resentment against jumping off his bed, leaving the warmth of his comfort, answering the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He loves him. He has a meeting with him. He has called him and said, come to success. Come to meet with me. He doesn't feel lazy. He doesn't say, I want to sleep for a little bit more. I'm going to pray at home. No resistance, zero resistance. This is the quality of loving Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than anything else. When the ayah of Surah An-Nisa, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ. A couple, a husband and wife, because many people think that the Sharia is, when the state imposes the Sharia so that the courts would act upon the Islamic constitution. It is not only limited to that. Between you and your partner, apply the divine law in case of disputes, in case of divorce, in case of iddah, in case of dowry, in case of mut'ah, in case of inheritance. So, حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم. No matter how much you claim to love Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will not be a true believer until you seek the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is stated in the Quran. فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ, in any dispute, whether it's big or something very little between a husband and wife, the partners and each other. ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ. This is not in a judgment, like in a court where you appeal it. No. Is it really Allah's judgment? Yes, I accept it. وَيُسَلِّمُ تَسْلِيمًا. Even if the verdict is not in my favor, I'm happy with it, because this is Allah's statement. Subhanallah. This is some of the applications of loving Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than anything else. The second quality, as in the Hadith, وَأَن يُحِبَّ الْمَرْءَ لَا يُحِبُّهُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. Loving Allah and His Messenger ﷺ would control all your emotions. What is love? It is a tendency towards something. Love is two categories. One which is congenital. You're born with it. You have no choice over it. Sometimes when you meet a girl, and a girl meets a man, you feel like you're attracted to that person. You know, you did not have any choice over this love. And there is an acquired love. This acquired love crosses the barriers of the complexion and the color and the hair and the morphology. It delves more in depth into the qualities. So even though we haven't seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we haven't seen the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're so much in love with them, we're attached to them. Why? The more you read about Allah's blessings upon you, the more you ponder over His creation, the more you learn about the qualities of the Prophet ﷺ, the more you develop love to Allah and His Messenger, to His companions, to His deen, and so on. The acquired love, brothers and sisters, is much greater and firmer than the congenital one, which is without reason. You don't know a reason for it. But the one which you know a reason for it, it crosses the boundaries of the morphology, the appearance, into rather the qualities. So when you love somebody, it is not because you like his look, or his height, or his muscles, or his job, or his social status, or the car that he drives. You like him or you like her for the sake of Allah, for Allah's glory, which means that person is worth of your love. This person Allah loves. This person Allah's angels love. This person all the believers love. So you love him because of his or her qualities. This person is God-fearing. I love him. Did you meet him? No. Have you seen him before? I didn't have a chance. I love Uwais al-Qarani, even though it was hundreds of years between me and him. I love all the companions of the Prophet ﷺ because of their qualities. The more you read about them, and that's why if anyone were to say that, I love Rasulullah ﷺ or I love the companions, and you ask him about a particular companion, you know who's Mu'adh ibn Jabal? Who's Mu'adh ibn Jabal? Just go to any university. Ask the Muslim youth in the Arabic world. Go to Cairo University. Go to some universities in the KSA, in any of the Arabic countries, and ask them, do you know who's Abu Musa al-Ash'ari? What do you know about Anas ibn Malik? What do you know about Mu'adh ibn Jabal? What do you know about this? I'm not saying about Uwais al-Qarani because pretty much vast majority would say never heard of the name before. And when somebody's name is Uwais, they may make fun of him. What is Uwais? What does it mean? Because they have never heard of the qualities of Uwais al-Qarani. May Allah have mercy on him. So this person, if they say, we love the deen and we love Allah and we love the companions, they are not true in their statement, because this kind of love to somebody whom you haven't seen is acquired, based on knowing the qualities, based on figuring out why you should love this person, revere and respect this person. The third quality is concerning the reverts, those whom Allah have guided them from disbelief to belief, and they have entered Islam. Now, because they have experienced both, for them, being thrown in fire is dearer to them than going back to disbelief. That is the third quality. So this is not for those who were born in Islam and didn't experience this belief. Rather, it deals with the reverts. After recognizing the truth, being thrown in fire is better than going back to disbelief. And we have seen this from the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have seen it with Ammar ibn Yasir and his parents. His parents sacrificed their lives for the sake of Allah and the love of Allah and the love of their deen. Ammar ibn Yasir, since he couldn't take the pain and the torture, he was forced to curse the Prophet ﷺ. Then when he was released, he ran to whom? Where did he go to? He ran to the Prophet ﷺ regretting. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah Al-Nahl a statement which says, إِلَّا مَنْ أُكْرِهَ وَقَلْبُهُ مُطْمَئِنٌ بِالْإِيمَانِ. Some people are weak, physically weak, could not tolerate the torture and the persecution. So they may say something by their tongue, but in their heart is full of Iman, is saturated with Iman. So they are not blameworthy, such as Ammar ibn Yasir, who witnessed the death, the martyrdom of his parents. May Allah be pleased with all of them. In Surah Al-Mujadilah, in ayah number 22, look what Allah the Almighty says. Look at the comparison. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم. You will never find true believers who truly believe in Allah and in the last day. Meanwhile, they love those who challenge Allah and His Messenger, those who hate Allah and His Messenger, those who disbelieve in Allah and His Messenger, even though they may be their fathers, their sons, their brothers, or their kin, their family members. I don't care. أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان وأيدهم بروح منه. Such people who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than even their family members, because their family members are not believers, Allah filled their hearts with Iman and supported them. And He shall admit them into gardens beneath which rivers are flowing. رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. Allah is pleased with them, and they are too pleased with Him. Such people are described in the Quran as the true party of Allah. They are awliyaullah, and such people are the truly successful one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst them. May Allah grant us the true love to Allah, to His Messenger, and to all the believers. Brothers and sisters, to be continued, inshallah, after we take a short break, and we'll be back, inshallah, in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Rasulallah, Habiballah, Rasulallah, Habiballah.
Allah, so let me stray. Please guide my way.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk on your favorite channel, Huda TV. I'm your host, Arkham Rashid. They actually did such and such that you're accusing him of in your mind. So now I want to start off with my right hand side, Brother Ahmed. If you can just tell us what your thoughts were on that video. What can you extract from that video? Would you say some of the youth turn to drugs, especially in your country, if they don't have jobs, or it's because they want to get away from their daily normal lives? Would you say that's a reason?
Absolutely, that's true. Some people just resort to drug as the last option because they get themselves straight out, and they're instead of depression, but they don't know where to turn for help.
Sports per se is like a communal social activity, whereas it collects the community together and it bonds brotherhoods together. It's very social in its aspect where you interact with your teammates or your players in a team.
So I think a message would be just to stay completely away from it. Even we can say, oh look, it's haram.
TV commercials motivate viewers into immediate action and to sway consumer loyalty from one brand or service to the other. That's why we're here for you, to help you sell your products and services by using creative ideas that bring life into your own TV commercial. Advertise your business and branded products and services on Huda TV. We will offer you fast-paced and energetic 30-second affordable TV spots. Advertise on Huda TV, acquire fresh customers and stay within your budget. For more info or to receive a quote, please send your inquiries to advert@Huda TV. Huda TV.
رسول الله حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. I guess you still remember our phone numbers. Area code 002-01125-008-679, and the other phone number is area code 002-0238-555-249. And the email address is currently not working, unfortunately. We're working on fixing our email address, which is gardens@huda.tv, and we'll inform you inshallah once it is back to work. We already have a caller, Sister Salma from the United States. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh Salah.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Gardens of the Pious.
First of all, Mabruk, Sheikh Salah, for the Hajj. And I tried to contact you before going to Hajj, so you can make dua for us too, inshallah.
Barakallahu feeki, and may Allah bless you and your family. Thank you.
Ameen. Sheikh Salah, I have 3 questions. First of all, I want to give fidya for Rosa for my deceased father. But is it compulsory to give as a food to the other person, or can I give him money so that he can start doing some work for living?
Okay.
Number 2, if somebody did the Hajj Badal for my deceased father, he will get the same reward, like my father will get the same reward as a newborn without any sins.
Okay.
And third is my friend, she has a lot of credit card, unfortunately, because she was using credit card, but then she lost the job. So now she has a lot of credit card. I cannot help her. I only have the zakat money. So can I pay her credit card with the zakat money only?
Okay. You mean you pay your zakah for her to settle the loan that she got it from the credit cards. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And then, Sheikh Salah, I have a question, but I need to ask you, can I have your phone number?
Sure, inshallah. If you ask them in the control, they will assist you in this regard. Thank you, Sister Salma. May Allah bless you and your family. With regards to the fidya for fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِطْعَامُ مِسْكِينَ 184 of Surah Al-Baqarah. فَفِدْيَةٌ إِطْعَامُ مِسْكِينَ. In this case, fidya is required to be in the form of food, not in the form of cash. Performing Hajj instead of another, the person whom you perform Hajj on his or her behalf will get the full reward. What about the person who is doing this great act of worship as a favor on behalf of another? Would he get the same reward? He would definitely be rewarded. And all the prayers that he offers in these sacred places are only his. The dua for himself and his family is only his. But would he get the same reward of Hajj, of expiating all his or her sins? Allah the Almighty knows best. But I normally refer to the hadith which says, الدَّالُّ عَلَى الْخَيْرِ كَفَاعِلِهِ. Since he is the mean, he is the tool through him that the other person has performed his or her Hajj, hopefully, inshallah, they will get the exact same reward. Paying zakah for somebody to settle their debt, whether with a credit card or whatever, is permissible if those people have borrowed this money for a legitimate cause, a halal reason. And meanwhile, they are categorized as al-gharimin, they cannot pay off their loan. They are in trouble, in adversity, and they cannot afford to pay off their loan. So assisting them from the zakah fund is prescribed, as it is mentioned in ayah number 60, chapter number 9, which is known as Surah At-Tawbah. Brothers and sisters, without any further ado, hadith number 376. The hadith which we studied before, and we will study again and again and again, the hadith which deals with the 7 categories whom Allah the Almighty will shelter under His shade on the day when there will not be any shade but His. Narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: 7 يظلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله: إمام عادل، وشاب نشأ في عبادة الله عز وجل، ورجل قلبه معلق بالمساجد، ورجلان تحابا في الله اجتمعا عليه وتفرقا عليه، ورجل دعته امرأة ذات حسن وجمال فقال إني أخاف الله، ورجل تصدق بصدقة فأخفاها حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه، ورجل ذكر الله خاليا ففاضت عيناه. متفق عليه. The Prophet ﷺ said in the very famous hadith, there are 7 types of people whom Allah will give shade of His throne on the day when there will not be any other shade other than His. So the first category is a just ruler. So we understand from that it is not only one person. Every just ruler, whether this ruler is the caliph, is a president, is a king, is a governor, is a mayor, is the sheriff, or a person who is in charge for any community, large or small. Even the family father, even the woman who is looking after her children. Because the word, every word here which is mentioned in the masculine covers both masculine and feminine, men and women. So anyone who is in the position of the leadership, the class teacher, the school principal, is in a charge. If you look after those who are under your guardianship and treat them fairly, and you serve them in the best possible fashion, inshallah you will be sheltered under the shade which Allah will create, especially to shade those people on the day when there will not be any shade but His. Some people misunderstand the shade and they think the shade of Allah, that means Allah will have a shade, which is not true. For this pen to have a shade, that means there is light coming from above. And there is a particular size and limits or boundaries for this object, so that you can see the shade. You see the shade? And if the light is coming from this direction, the shade will be in the opposite. But Allah is above all of that. Do you expect the sun to be above Allah? No. So when the shade is ascribed to Allah, it is similar to saying Shahrullah al-Muharram, Baytullah al-Haram, Ahlullah wa khassatu. And we mentioned that in detail before, and we explained that you honor a thing by ascribing it to Allah. Baytullah, Allah's house. Allah is not physically there. It belongs to Allah. That shade belongs to Allah because He created it, especially whether it is the shade of His throne, which is one of the creation of Allah, but it is the greatest at all. Obviously, the throne is greater than the earth, the heavens, and all the different galaxies all together. Greater than the kursi. So, the shade which Allah the Almighty will create, especially to spare, to shelter, and to save those people, will shelter the following. Imamun Adil. I'm not going to delve deeply into each category because we're only focusing on the 4th category, which is رجلان تحابا في الله اجتمعا عليه وتفرقا عليه. 2 people. When the Prophet ﷺ says 2 men, it applies to 2 women as well. Gender does not matter. who loved one another for the sake of Allah. Two persons who love and meet each other and depart from each other for the sake of Allah. So whether we're physically together, we see each other on a daily basis, or you traveled abroad, I keep you in my dua, you keep me in my dua, I'm concerned about you, I check on you, I send you messages, all of that because I love you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This quality will entitle you and me, inshaAllah, to be saved on that day. Which day? You know, that day all mankind will be gathered in one place. يخرجون من الأجداث صراعا كأنهم إلى نصب يوفضون خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة. So people will come out of their ajdath, graves, reassembled, and they will start running, rushing and hastening towards what? Towards the place of gathering, which is one plain. There are no mountains nor valleys. لا ترى فيها عوجا ولا أمتا. One plain. Everybody is on the same floor. Then the sun will draw very near. The hadith says like a mile, but we don't know whether it's a physical mile or what it means. So that people will start sweating and people will be drowning in their sweat, and some people will actually have the sweat up to their chest, up to their navels, up to their knees, but there are other people who would not suffer the least. That day, as Allah the Almighty says, its length will be 50,000 years of our time. But for those people who will be sitting or standing in the shade and will be sheltered, it will be like a regular day. They would not feel any pain. They would not panic because Allah would give them security. May Allah make us amongst them. There are 7 qualities. There are not 7 individuals. You definitely can be one of them. And you should be one of them. Love one another for the sake of Allah. Having one brother or one sister that whom you love for the sake of Allah truly, not wanting anything from this dunya, but loving this person because of his or her qualities, because he is a true believer, she is a true believer, he or she is a righteous person, and maintaining this love, as will be explained inshallah in the next episode and the one after, how to maintain this love for the sake of Allah. Accordingly, inshallah, you will be eligible to be called upon. أَيْنَ الْمُتَحَابُّونَ فِي جَلَالِي. What are those who love one another for my sake? Why? الْيَوْمَ أُظِلُّهُمْ فِي ظِلِّي يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلِّي. أَيْنَ الْمُتَحَابِّينَ فِي جَلَالِي. You are those who loved one another for my glory. Today, I shall shelter them under my shade, when there will not be any shade but Allah's shade. Now we understand the meaning of Allah's shade. I hope this is clear. And the rest of the qualities, a man who's been seduced by a beautiful woman and a powerful one, but he said, Inni akhafullah, and a man who donated hiddenly in such fashion that his left hand did not know how much his right hand has been given. And the last is the man who remembered Allah the Almighty in solitude, in private, and as a result his eyes shed tears. They will be shaded in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make us amongst them. These qualities will be explained as we go by in other chapters, inshallah. But we only wanted to focus on the 4th quality. رَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَا عَلَيْهِ وَتَفَرَّقَ عَلَيْهِ. When they meet for His sake. When they depart each other, it's also for His sake. Hadith number 377, narrated also by Abu Huraira, and it's a sound hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, إن الله تعالى يقول يوم القيامة أين المتحابون بجلالي اليوم أظلهم في ظلي يوم لا ظل إلا ظلي. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, Allah the Almighty said, where are those on the Day of Judgment? Allah the Almighty will say, where are those who have mutual love for the sake of my glory? Today, I shall shelter them in my shade when there will not be any shade except mine. So this is the hadith which I explained earlier as well. Again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst them. We have some callers. Okay, please try again. The last hadith we have in this episode, inshallah. This is a very interesting chapter, brothers and sisters. We will definitely enjoy it, and we hope that we benefit out of these beautiful hadith and start practicing them, inshallah. It's hadith number 378. Let me take this call first. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abdul Ra'uf from the KSA. I don't know Brother Abdul Ra'uf personally, but from his calls, Akhi, I love you for the sake of Allah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sheikh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. I just want to repeat what I said earlier, that even though we haven't met in person, but because you're a frequent caller and I know you through your calls, I love you for the sake of Allah.
Sheikh, I was basically, when in your last week's program of God is a voice, you were explaining about not to request everyone for making supplication. Can you please shed some more light on that? For example, whenever any of our colleagues go for Umrah and we just tell them whether they are righteous or not righteous, we just tell them, please remember in your prayers in Makkah or in the holy places.
Okay, I got your question.
Please shed some light, yeah. I would really appreciate it.
Sure. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Abdul Rahman from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have a question. You were talking earlier about doing things for the sake of Allah with sincerity. How does one know if somebody is doing something sincerely for the sake of Allah or doing it out of the fear of Allah? Is it the same thing?
Okay.
Or is it two different things?
Okay.
And how can one know about that for himself?
Okay. Thank you, Sister Abdul Rahman. If you do it out of fear of Allah, or you abstain from doing anything out of fear of Allah, this is out of sincerity, and this is for the sake of Allah. It's like, you're calling your auntie, who's very rude to you, out of fear of Allah, because you have to uphold the ties of kinship for the sake of Allah. This is fi sabilillah. This is for the sake of Allah. It leads to the same. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Muhammad from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sheikh. Sheikh, I just would like to tell you that I love you for the sake of Allah, and it is wonderful that you are doing this great job through this Huda TV, and really it encouraged me lots to do. Nowadays I started doing tahajjud prayers, and now I am punctual in my prayers. This program made me a real Muslim nowadays, even though some this and that there, but that is changing. But because your presentation in this program made me to be that way, and because of that, I really from my heart, I love you for the sake of Allah, Shaykh.
Akhi, Jazakallah khairan. Such very good news. I love you also for the sake of Allah. May Allah, the one whom you love me for his sake, love you as well. Thank you so much, Brother Muhammad, for sharing with us this very good news. May Allah bless you and your family. I'm very certain, brothers and sisters, there are many of you out there sitting in front of the screen who share with us the same feeling. So even though we did not meet in person, but alhamdulillah wa shukrullah, what gathered us, what created that mutual love between all of us is Allah and His glory. So may Allah accept from all of us. And may Allah gather us by His mercy, by the virtues of the means of this quality, inshaAllah, under His shade on the day of resurrection. Last hadith, because we running out of time. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: والذي نفسي بيده لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحابوا أولا أدلكم على شيء إذا فعلتموه تحاببتم أفشوا السلام بينكم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم says, I swear to Allah, in whose hand is my soul, you will never enter paradise until you believe, and you will not truly believe until you love one another. Then furthermore he said, may I inform you of something that if you do, you will love one another? And I expect that the companion said, certainly, O Prophet of Allah. So he said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, spread the greeting of peace amongst yourselves. أفش السلام. ألق السلام على من عرفت ومن لم تعرف من المسلمين. You don't have to know the person to say, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum is a very unique and distinct greeting. Is it better than saying good morning, wishing somebody a good morning, a good day, a good evening, a good night? Yes, indeed. Because it includes wishing peace, blessings, and mercy. What could be better than all of that? When I say good morning, I will be rewarded for that, no doubt. When I say good evening, I will be rewarded for that, no doubt. When I say, how you doing? I will be rewarded for that, no doubt. But when I say, Assalamu alaikum, you will be rewarded 10 good deeds. Then when you say, wa rahmatullah, it becomes 20 good deeds. And when you say, wa barakatuh, it becomes 30. 30 good deeds for greeting any person with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you, and Allah's mercy and His blessings. تحيتهم يوم يلقونه سلام. This is the greeting that Allah is going to greet us with, and the angels are going to greet us with, and that will be the greeting of the people of paradise. This is a greeting that Allah taught Adam when the angels greeted him, and he replied back to them. This is our beautiful greeting. You don't have to know the name of the person. He doesn't have to be your colleague, your neighbor, or classmate, or somebody whom you know, to say Assalamu alaikum to. No, begin them with Assalam. That creates love. Because love is a condition to prove that you are a believer. And no one shall enter paradise unless he or she is a true believer. One of the great qualities of achieving that faith and becoming a true believer is to spread As-Salam. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رسول الله حبيب الله رسول الله حبيب الله Allah, our God, is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them. Allah, our God, is the greatest, the one and only glory to Him. He wanted humans to be the best and give His best religion to them.
So why did they ignore that? Forgetting all about Him in paradise, worshipping cows, fire and stones, selling the best with the cheapest price.
So why did they ignore that? Forgetting all about hell and paradise, worshipping cows, fire and stones, selling their best with the cheapest price. Rasulullah, Habib Allah, Rasulullah.